Hi, I recently had an individual session with Coudon Ba, ET Ascended Master channeled by Jaraan Onai. And at one point, he focused on allowing abundance and flow, particularly in the arena of income and work, but also across the board and just flow in your life and what's blocking us, especially spiritual people. He shared some key insights that you may not have thought of before. So I just had to share them with you, and maybe you'll get some realizations, have some clicks, pops, ahas, things to contemplate for sure, and make shifts in your own life. Enjoy.
It's like you have to suffer to be accommodated because that's the norm. That's how it's supposed to be. You have to feel bad to get paid, basically. And it doesn't have to be that way. But then that ties back into that just accepting accommodation. It's like my existence is valid as it is. And that's the core of it. My existence is valid as it is. Even if I've failed myself or someone else, my existence is still valid as it is. Okay. But where people suffer, and it seems pretty evident in this world, that people suffer financially because they place so many conditions on financial accommodation. It's like, I have to be this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that. However many dozens or hundreds of factors have to be satisfied before it's okay. So I can make good money as long as it's a miserable job. Mm-hmm. But I can't have fun and be wealthy at the same time because that's like the worst. You think of yourself as a low moral person. A lot of people do. It's like I'm having fun and making money, that I'm a low moral person. And the idea of that is just horrifying. So,
wow.
As if morals have anything at all to do with it. Because it doesn't. It really doesn't. And so many people that are in the light worker brigade are thinking, it's like, how can these assholes be so rich? It's like, well, because morals have nothing to do with it. Just agreement is really all it takes.
Right.
And then what does it take for you to agree with financial accommodation? How can you make it okay to have it easy? Right? So, process all the conditioning that says it's not okay to have it easy, or that difficulty is required for a proper reward. Okay? Because the mass consciousness from childhood for most people actually preaches that. No pain, no gain.
Right.
Yeah, no pain, no gain. Like, that's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Okay? Or the idea that you have to, dedicate yourself to a particular job for 40 hours a week for 30 or 40 years before you can relax and retire and have fun. Also completely absurd. But that's what makes the machine work.
Right.
Right? And so that's why it's presented that way. Your education system reinforces that all the time. Critical thinking is not on the curriculum anywhere, really, except for a few places. But in the public school system, not at all. You're just meant to be a drone. Okay? And, the elites, which you could certainly be one if you wanted to, have it designed where it's like, all that supports all this. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to, you work so I don't have to, kind of thing. Because there's nobody in a position of great wealth that got there by themselves. Nobody. Mm-hmm. So, it's like it takes sometimes thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people working so that the CEO has their billions. Right? Mm-hmm. It wouldn't happen otherwise. And the CEO is quite content for them to do that. Okay? And because most people are brainwashed into thinking, well, I got to do this 9 to 5 thing, and, I can be excited about $20 an hour or whatever, which is also absurd, or $30 an hour, whatever the thing is. It's like, and I worked 5 years to get that 10% pay raise or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. And it's so small-minded. The difference between the average income producer and the wealthy is the average income producer is looking short-sightedly at how they can spend what they get. The wealthy is looking at how they can make more. They're not thinking how they can spend money, they're thinking how they can make more money. And so they're always thinking in terms of possibilities. Where are the opportunities to make more? Not spend, but to make more. The truly wealthy are probably not out there buying those expensive luxury items because it would be absurd in their context to do that. It's like, why? I don't need a $100,000 luxury car when a $20,000 Toyota will work just fine. Okay, so it really is mindset. And if you're not used to it, you really have to gear your mindset toward that for everything. It's like I'm always looking for the opportunity. How can I benefit from this situation? Not, oh, here's something else that sucks, but how can I benefit from this situation? That sucks. How can I benefit? Okay. And, it looks like you're constantly solving problems at first, especially, but after a while, it's like you're not really constantly solving problems, but you're strategically giving yourself another step up. It just looks to the outside like you're solving a problem, but you don't think of it that way at all. You can't. And so that one little shift in perspective, shift in mindset, will change you from a scraping it by kind of person to a raking it in kind of person. But you got to be willing to go with the solution, right? Because what happens sometimes, see it down for a lot of people, it's like the solution comes like, oh, but I'm not willing to do that. That's too hard. That means I got to go do this or I got to learn that or whatever. It's like, oh, crap. But if that's the case, then you're still operating from an employee mentality. It's like, I do this to get that instead of here's an opportunity to progress. And when you're really, and you're passionate about something, when you're really enthusiastic about creating something, not spending money, getting money to spend, but creating something, then the resources, the energetic resources you need to do that tend to show up. You don't have to wait for it to be perfect either. You don't have to wait for the exact right opportunity. The exact right opportunity is when you take a step forward in that direction. That's when it is. And it doesn't mean that certain things don't need to be, timing and all that kind of stuff. But what people call divine timing is more often than not just the universe arranging to accommodate yourself as you take those steps toward whatever your objective is. But it's not just the objective, it's the why behind it. And if you're operating out of a sense of creativity just to see what I can experience, talking about that class, it's like, ooh, I just want to learn this and learn how to do this. Well, that kind of enthusiasm is the kind of thing it takes, right? It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, this may be valuable and help me do a job better or whatever. But it's the idea of I get the experience that goes along with this learning. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, so I'm not just solving a problem, I'm getting the experience. And I'm benefiting personally as a consequence of having figured this out. The thing is, you're not just figuring it out, because whenever you're tapped in like that, you're putting yourself in a position to receive inspiration. It's not your brain trying to wrangle it all. Okay? But inspiration is not going to come to a place where you're not at. It's just not going to do it, And if you think you have to do it all yourself, and the point is so I can feel better about myself, well, then you miss the point entirely. Because it's not so you can feel better about yourself. Yourself isn't worth feeling better about in this context. It's like, yes, it is, but that's not the point. The point is you have this extraordinary creative capacity, and it's just a matter of willingly allocating it in a preferential way. Okay? And when you do that, it's like, all right, here I am in the midst of this seemingly insurmountable challenge, but this is an opportunity to expand. And so I gratefully accept this challenge. And the moment I do that, then I've opened the gateway to inspiration. So there's not my measly little very limited ego trying to figure it out, but I'm tapping into God's source presence that just knows. And then by all means follow the directions. It's like, oh, but I don't feel like it today. Follow the directions. You know, and because that little bit of resistance is nothing. You know, overcoming that little bit of resistance is nothing compared to the rewards of walking through the process.